Open labor markets, fair pay for fair work? In the interview, the leader of the Verdi union, Bsirske.
Europe's biggest jobs market is finally opening its doors to workers from EU member states in Central and Eastern Europe. In theory, 73 million people can now come to work in Germany without any difficulties. But will May the 1st be a day of fear for German employees?
No, I don't think German workers have any reason to be fearful. All the same, we should be thinking about how an influx of Central and Eastern Europeans can be organized in a socially acceptable way. The best way of doing this is to look at the countries that have already absorbed migrant workers from the East. In 2004, Britain and Ireland lifted labor restrictions, and when you talk to British or Irish trade unions, they stress one thing in particular: that a socially acceptable solution was found because the two countries had a legal minimum wage. So basic working conditions were guaranteed in both countries. This meant workers did not fall victims to exploitation and locals were not put under wage pressure.
A recent survey indicated that Germans are indeed afraid of new migrants. Is this fear justified? How can you remedy this anxiety?
The fear is not completely unfounded. Going on the experience we have from other regions, from studies and so on, we have to presume that the new migrants will end up mainly as low earners. So people may have reservations because the governing coalition has not done its homework, and this might have a negative effect on people here in Germany, but also on people coming from Poland or the Baltic states. That's because the downward spiral has begun. We can't exclude the possibility of wage dumping, pressure on wage levels in a whole array of sectors. It's pretty likely. That's why we have every reason to oppose this and make good in the areas that need improvement, like a legal minimum wage, one that matches that of our Western European neighbors.
Migration researchers expect no more than 130,000 people to enter the German job market during the next few years. And with 1 million job vacancies, you could say we need them.
We entirely welcome this opening. The jobless numbers are falling. But we still have to look at what's actually happening on the labor market. Let's wait and see what happens with this immigration. We shouldn't just look at Central and Eastern Europe, but at the Southern European states as well. The ones that have been the traditional sources of migrants for Germany. We're talking about Portugal, Greece, and Spain. Their economies are slipping deeper into crisis, and they have austerity cuts to contend with. Unemployment is on the rise and will continue to increase. Against this background, migration to Germany could increase. But all this should spur us on towards improving things in Germany by introducing a minimum wage.
But no matter where these migrants come from, employers are looking for specialists, be they technicians, engineers and so on. How can we create incentives for these people to come to work at German companies?
The Czech Republic and Poland are also actively looking for workers in this segment of the jobs market. Wage differences are not as pronounced as they once were, but we still have ground to make up in recognizing foreign qualifications. We need to be serious about this if we are interested in being attractive for people with sought-after expertise. And we need to think about how we can make it easier to recognize qualifications gained abroad, or to make it easier for people to add on qualifications here in Germany. And, of course, to increase people's ability to gain a foothold in certain job sectors where people with certain qualifications are needed.
The 1st of May is not just the day that labour market restrictions disappear. It's also a day celebrating workers' rights. But just how political are the unions and their members nowadays? And is the 1st of May a day off when people drink beer and listen to rock music provided by the unions?
The reality is mixed, as is often the case. There's no question that on a sunny 1st of May, people drink a lot of beer. But it's also a day when many people, hundreds of thousands of workers, clearly state the direction that they think the country should develop. And here, too, there's a lot to do. Look, we've experienced good economic growth, and we hope it will last. We've seen the jobless rate drop. But at the same time, divisions within the jobs market are getting wider. A parallel jobs market has opened up with low levels of security, poor wages, and little prospect that things will change and people will remain poor in old age. We have every reason to think about what we can do to improve the working and living conditions as well as the wage conditions of millions of people in this country. I think that is a strong reason for our many colleagues to stand up in favor of more social justice in Germany.
Viele Kolleginnen und Kollegen auch Flagge zu zeigen für die Forderung nach mehr sozialer Gerechtigkeit in diesem Land.
You've been leader of the Verdi Services Union for 10 years now. Just how powerful are you? What influence can you exert on politicians?
That's
something I ask myself now and then. But what is a fact is that people can only make an impact if they're ready to stand up for their own interests. Ultimately, it depends on whether people are ready to organize themselves and make a contribution towards meeting their own goals and making them attainable. Here, it's not a case of having brilliant leaders. Rather, it's a case of how much will workforces have to fight for their rights.
You're not just a powerful trade unionist. You're also a member of the German Greens. It's a party that's experiencing major gains in elections. They're in government in the regional states. And after the next general election, it's not difficult to imagine the Greens back in power in Berlin. Would a ministerial posting be in order for someone who has led a big organization for 10 years?
I'm a trade unionist through and through. A trade unionist in an organization with 2.1 million members, and with a broad array of demands and challenges. But I'm determined to tackle these. I'd like to see things continued like this.
Frank Bsirske, chairman of the Verdi Union, thank you for talking to us.
Thank you.